Hi guys, I'm live. This is the Ask Me Anything session about Swedish language. Welcome. In the meanwhile, we can talk about Swedish typical things. Typiskt svenskt. And here we have a whole lot of things. You can see we have about Astrid Lindgren and Pippi Longstocking. She's very popular author, probably the most famous author in Sweden. And she's currently on our 20 kronor bill. We also have being on time is important. Crayfishes, and particularly at this time of year, we have crayfish parties. Then we don't like smoking indoors. There are rules that says that everyone has to smoke outdoors. You're not allowed to smoke in restaurants. You're not allowed to smoke in public places in Sweden. And in fact, the latest statistics suggest that Swedes are the ones that smoke the least in the whole of Europe. There's less than 5% that smoke in Sweden. We have cracker breads. These crisp breads are typical Swedish food stock. And we have falukorv. This is also another typical Swedish food stock. We have the Swedish car brands, Volvo and Saab. We like the light. We actually worship the light in Sweden. And particularly summers and midsummers are big events. And then Lucia as well. Also cherishing and celebrating the light. We like cooperation, working together, like nature and going out, ice hockey. We like fika. And here we also have a picture of 3 dogs. Now, we do like dogs, but I think most importantly, we like sharing evenly and equally among us and taking turns. Also, this is also why we queue up, because we respect one another's value. And then we have candy. We generally eat sweet things in Sweden, and we like candy a lot. So those are some of the basic things that you'd see in Sweden. Let's see if we can move on. Yeah, so this is in regards to Astrid Lindgren, the author. And all the kids in the whole world love her books. I think she passed away roughly 20 years ago. But she wrote more than about just Pippi Longstocking. She wrote about Karlsson på taket. She wrote about Emil I Lönneberga, which is a very famous Swedish boy. And the inspiration, in fact, for Dennis the Menace, later American cartoon. Always getting into trouble and doing things just out of curiosity, ending up in huge trouble, both for him and his sister Ida. So every child in Sweden knows about this Emil and his father, who he has to run away from and hide into the carving cabin. And then we have Madicken, also another set of girls in the early 1900s, set in the Swedish countryside. And then, of course, Pippi Longstocking, which is the strongest girl in the world with her pet monkey and pet horse that she keeps in her house, and all her crazy adventures. So there's more. There's Mio min Mio, Bröderna Lejonhjärta. So she's a very big person and author in the Swedish literacy. She's got a beautiful language, although not perfect linguistically or grammatically, which is why she never really got the Nobel Prize. She often talks about lonely children that look for love and create their own world in the fantasy. So that's a bit about her. Let's see how many are with me. And then we can go on to the next page. Kräftskiva. So like I said, this is an occurrence that you see in this about around this time in Sweden in the end of August. Then a lot of people would sit around and eat crayfish, and not just crayfish, but all of these crustaceous foods, crab and shrimp, and if they have the money, lobster. And then you have some liquor to that, or beer, typically. And you have some very interesting lanterns as well that you set up to heighten the mood. You have it outdoors. That's why you have the lanterns. And then, schnapps, like I said here, together with this crayfish. Kräftor and such. And this was originally a tradition that the nobility in Sweden was doing. But as time went on, the public started to take on the nobility's tradition and try to emulate being rich. And so eventually this became a public tradition. So a lot of people do this all across Sweden today. And because so many people do it, we farm about 8 tons of crayfish every year. Okay. Let's see. Next, ice hockey. So ice hockey is one of Sweden's biggest sports. It's the first match you could see in Sweden was played 1921. In fact, I made a survey about Swedish sports, and this ice hockey came in as the 3rd most popular sport in Sweden. So, you have soccer. It is the most popular sport, and then we have the track and field or athletics, which is the 2nd most practiced and popular sport. But ice hockey is a bit particular to Sweden because of the ice. It's not a lot of countries that can actually host ice hockey or play ice hockey in a natural setting. But in Sweden, you can just take your club and your puck out and then play on the lake that is frozen next to you half of the year in some of the locations in Sweden. So that's why a lot of the best ice hockey players in the world come from Sweden, because we can do it whenever we want a lot of the time here, particularly in the north of Sweden. So NHL recruits a lot of Swedish ice hockey players every year, and because we play it a lot, and we have kept it to a high level for more than 100 years. Several hundred Swedish players and trainers work in other countries, like I said. Hi. Is that you, Björn? I don't. I don't play ice hockey. I have played ice hockey, I think, once, But I never really got very good at it. Yeah. Sweet. So, do you have any Swedish questions for me, Björn? Okay, shoot. Why do Swedes play ice hockey that much? Yeah, like I said, it's probably because it's part of our natural setting. A lot, particularly in the north of Sweden, a lot of times there's ice everywhere, and you can't very much well play soccer if you're going to slip around. You have to put on skis to actually move across ice swiftly and efficiently. And so all you had to do was get a club, and then you smack a stone around, and eventually it evolved into pucks. Yes. What's your other question? Go ahead. Why in the word matchen the ch sound is different from the ch sound on choklad? Matchen and choklad. I mean, there are different variants of this seven sound. What you call it a ch is actually a seven sound, or sjuljudet. And it depends on the dialect, but there are 2 to 3 ways to pronounce the seven sound. I don't think that there's actually two different sounds for most dialects in this matchen and choklad. That would be the same, which is um, the very front part of the mouth that you actually vibrate this seven sound, like you're blowing out the candle. Matchen, choklad. But there are other examples, like driver, chauffeur, right? In this word, it's much like, because it's from French, we actually pronounce it in the back of our mouth. So it's chauffeur. It's very different from choklad. And then also there's some words that are very dependent on the dialect. We have the word kanske. So this one is kind of in between, depending on the dialect. So if you're in Stockholm, maybe they pronounce it kanske. So you have a sh sound variant as well. But in the south, you'd probably pronounce it kanske, which is further back in the mouth. Yeah. Hi, VW. You're back. Mm-hmm. Were you with us last time, VW? The guy from South Asia or Southeast Asia? Right. What's your name, VW? So about ice hockey, we have a national league. Okay. Uh, We have National League in ice hockey, and there are different levels that people play at. But I think the top league is called Elite Hockey. I'm not the one that follows ice hockey the most. I mean, some countries ice hockey is very popular, like in Canada and so on. No, well, we have been winning this in the World Championship in ice hockey on and off. For sure we won it 1994. I remember very clearly, and the junior team has also won it at some points later on. But we usually are among the top 3 teams in the world on a regular basis. We compete with the US, of course, that has the NHL, and we compete with Canada. And some of the other European and Nordic countries, like Czech, is very strong. Russia has been very strong, and Finland also. Why is köket not spelled köket with a CH? Well, we have a few of these hard consonants that shifts its pronunciation when we have the soft vowel in front or afterwards. So examples is kök, right? But we also have köra, for instance. It's not köra, right? So when you have the front vowels like e, I, and o, but also when you have those vowels directly after the consonant, then we get the softer sound, and the soft version of the hard K becomes the 7th sound. So we'd have, for instance, this K-E-L-A isn't pronounced Kela, it's pronounced Kela. And also there's a word called Kila, which is to hurry somewhere. Also, Kyla is cold. There are some exceptions. Kola is an exception there. But the köra, kola, I don't think there's a verb like that. But we have kära, which is beloved, and we have köra. So all of those front vowels produces the 7th sound, which is a softer variation. And there are other examples where the hard G turns into a soft J as well. It's a matter of the front vowels versus the back vowels, the soft vowels versus the hard vowels. Okay, let's go back to the slide a bit. Ute I ur och skur. So here is another example of something that's typically Swedish. Being outdoors in all types of weathers, even if it's raining or if there's a ton of snow out, people will go to be outdoors in the weather. And I suppose it's just the fact that Swedish people, they love nature. And in fact, some parents, they let their children go to special kindergartens where they spend most of their time, like 90% of their time or all day long outdoors. And it has positive effects on the children a lot of the times, particularly when they don't need to sit with books all day long. Then they benefit from this. It increases their playfulness, it increases their creativity, it increases their sense of happiness being outdoors in nature. Both they get fresh air, they get the sunlight, but it's also creative and very positive environment, to be outdoors. Very natural. So skur actually means rain. It's a light shower, a short temporary rain. That's what it means. And rhymes with skur. So I suppose that's where the saying comes from. Yeah. Let's go to the next slide. Så den typiska frukosten och lunchen. The typical breakfast and lunch in Sweden. And you can see here the highlighted words. We have smörgås. A lot of people, they simply have toast in the morning. That would be the breakfast here. And most people drink coffee. We drink tons of coffee in Sweden. I think an average person drinks about a bathtub a year worth. It's a good 3 mugs is not uncommon for a person to drink every day. Macka, of course, is a synonym to smörgås. Yeah, it's 150 liters a person around, which is a bathtub worth. I would say macka is more common in the south, but actually I think it's been picking up more popularity lately because it's actually faster to say than smörgås. Smörgås is actually more traditional, an older word than macka, because it comes from the time of the 1700s when Karl XII, our king, our warrior king back then, took his soldiers out in the field, and they were given bread, and then they were given goose fat to put on the bread, and there you got the goose, gås, the butter goose. That is how the word came about. But macka is a more modern, shorter version to express the same thing. It's essentially toast. You could say there's a difference between a sandwich and a toast. Maybe in Britain you would have a more stronger feeling about that, but I think in Sweden we really don't see it as much of a difference. If we really want to refer to like a sandwich with salad and ham and tomatoes and all of this, then we would say sandwich. So to actually emphasize that. Yeah, interestingly. So juice. Juice is English, yes, but we actually use that spelling in Swedish as well. It's, I would say, more common, but we have a Swedish version which is simply juice. This has been gaining and then losing popularity with time. I think during the 80s and 70s it was more popular to write it like this, but I think most people still write use like in English, even in Swedish today, because then it's understood internationally. And so I think that's been a trend lately to try to spell things as internationally as possible while still keeping it Swedish. So people have been going back to use with this English spelling. You mean pronunciations? And no, it's the same pronunciation, in fact. Yeah. So no, use and juice. I mean, I think most people in Sweden pronounce it the same way. Use. Yeah. And then we have fil, which is another typical Swedish food stock. It's essentially yogurt, but it's more sour and it's more viscous. So like sour milk, essentially. This is also popular. People put flakes, or typically uh, mice, made out of mice flingo, or so that they have that, either that or muesli in the morning, one of these things. Bread, of course, that's what macka and smörgås are made of. Macka is the plural of macka, and smörgås is the plural of smörgås. And as for lunch, well, you can see salad is big. It always comes in all the different dishes. That's why it's so big, I think. But otherwise, it's potato is the main staple food. Next to that would be pasta, and then rice. So we do actually eat a lot of different type of carbs. And then chicken is big, fish is big, and then, well, of course, eat meats as well, both hot dogs and köttfärssås, etc. Kött. Lax is big among fishes. Also toast, which is cod, and grönsaker. So we eat typically rather healthy, I would say. Egg is also eaten in breakfast, so that's rather healthy. And gröt, which is porridge. Salad, yeah. So in English, you spell salad with a single L. Salad, right? But salad is how we pronounce it in Swedish. It has double L to tell you that you have a short vowel in the first phoneme. So salad is how we pronounce it. It's rather similar to the English salad, but shorter vowel in the front. So there you have it. You could say it's a loan word, but it's been in Swedish language for a long while. So we don't consider it a loan word. But originally, I suppose it's either from Germany or from Britain. Let's take a look at one more slide here today. And then I think we're going to wrap it up around at 1:30. So we're going to have these sessions around 30 minutes every time. And we're going to have another session at around next week at 8 p.m. as well. So if you want to join, you can join me then. So here they bring up something which is common all around Sweden as well. It's allemansrätten, which is the right to roam around in nature, no matter where you're at. And you don't have to ask for permission because there's very few private landowners here. And even if there would be a private land, you're still allowed to roam around in the forest in that private land, as long as you don't disturb the residents there. So if you don't go too close so that you can see houses, then you're free to go there. The only exception to that rule would be if there is some national security, like it's a military base. But otherwise, we're free to pick berries, to make fires, as long as you put it out after yourself. You can tent anywhere you want and bathe anywhere you want, bring your dog. Only thing is you have to pick your trash with you and throw it away. You bring the trash with you home. You can also pick flowers and mushrooms wherever you go. So openness is a big thing in Sweden, and nature is a big thing in Sweden. Why do we have that rule? I think it's because Sweden has, for a long time, been an empty country. We haven't had that much people here, and people have gotten used to be able to go wherever they want in nature, right? It's part of the Viking way, right? To be part of nature. And so there hasn't been enough people to enforce that you can't go in certain places. And also, because the population were so scattered, people had to be able to go out in the forest to hunt, otherwise you couldn't survive. So in some other countries, like in the Britain, it was only the nobles that were allowed to hunt, etc. But due to the scarcity of people, I think we would have this rule. And then also the fact that due to the scarcity, we've grown accustomed to being around out in nature. So that's it, guys, for today. I hope you'd like that, and I hope you can join me in class. I have classes that you can sign up for. Just contact me through my email or through my website, and then I can sign you up at any given time. About 150 kroners an hour, which you typically pay 225 kroners for a 1.5 hour lesson. But you're welcome to join me again next week here. We're going to have another session. Thank you guys for joining me today, and see you again.